So we have an amazing artist with us today, Pal Bolger, and he was with us once before at our old house, and please give it up.
Uh-oh. Hold on.
No, I turned mine off. That was me.
That was you?
Yeah, I was whistling at you.
You can play the game, you can act out the part, though you know it wasn't real. Tell me, how can you stand there with your broken heart, shed and painful? One thing can lead to another, it doesn't take any sacrifice. Oh, father and mother and sister and brother, it feels nice, don't think twice, just shower the people you love, show them the way that you feel. Things are gonna work out fine if you only will. And what I'd like to say to you, shower the people you love, show them the way that you feel. Things are gonna be just fine if you only will. You can run, but you cannot hide. This is why I don't know. And what you gonna do with your foolish pride when you're all by yourself alone? The way that you feel, you can feel it beginning to breathe. I guess it's true what they say about the squeaky wheel. Always getting on the grease, tempted to shower the people you love, show them the way that you feel. Things are gonna be much better if you only will. And what I'd like to say to you, shower the people you love, show them the way. Things are gonna work out fine, you only will. Saying every night, little rain must fall, yeah, yeah. In every life, little rain must fall. Make it rain like on sunshine, yeah. Oh, let it rain. Sunshine, yeah, oh, say they everybody, little rain must fall, yeah. Things are gonna be much better.
So, hi, I'm Maureen Muldoon, and I am the founder and spiritual director of Speakeasy Spiritual Community. We're a local community with a global message. So we invite you to help us carry that message by sharing and liking our posts and subscribing on YouTube. And if you're watching from YouTube, go ahead and like. And if you're in the Chicago area, please come and join us. And be sure to check the website before you do, because we like to move around, apparently. So we ask you not to check your brains or your baggage or your backgrounds at the door. Like, that's the most important thing that you bring. You don't have to jump through any hoops to get here. Who you are and where you came from and what you've done and where you've been, that's the most important thing to us. So what we do ask is that you open your heart and open your mind to, receive a new way of seeing things and being with each other, because there is holy ground here between us. So this is a prayer from A Course in Miracles. I'm here only to be truly helpful. I'm here to represent Him who sent me. I don't have to worry about what to do or what to say, because He who sent me will direct me, and I will be healed as I allow Him to teach me to heal. It's such a great way to start out everything. For me, for a little while, that masculine pronoun hung me up a bit. And why? I'll tell you, when I was a little girl, I had a couple incidences with the masculine that weren't appropriate, and I didn't know how to deal with it. And so I sort of packed that all into all men, and I just sent it off, We're in the midst of a healing around that. But what I'll say is that we must be healing it, because right here at Speakeasy, we have some of the most stellar masculine energy that shows up, both feminine and masculine, right? Yeah, we do. We have Renaissance men and women, and they're just awesome. One of them is Dave Ham. Dave Ham, I know that the way he's shown up in community, Mike Weiss and Jim McMahon. I mean, there's so many, Robert, there's so many awesome men here. And the way that Dave has shown up in community these last couple of years, like, he came in off the street, Al was in training, okay? I'm kidding. Al Gator, Al Chase, master teacher of love. So yeah, amazing the way that we get to experience a healing around the masculine, not just for ourselves, but for a holy community. That's pretty audacious. So Dave Ham showed up here with his wife Carol, and came to support her, I think, and came for the music. But he stayed. His first question was, "Can I help you?" And he hasn't stopped asking that. I know, it's such a beautiful thing. And he sat on our board for 3 years, just like, the reason we have a mission statement, the reason we have a logo, the reason we have all these things, because he was participated in a team that helped to lead us into a form that was applicable to sharing the message. And last week he let me know that he's got a full plate, and so he's going to let his role go. So I just wanted to acknowledge him and to thank him publicly for everything. Yeah. We got him a little gift, and there's a card going around, so I got to tell you, the gift I'm giving him has been sitting in my office for a long time, and I'm just going to be completely honest with you. I actually bought it for my sister-in-law and never gave it to her. But I was like, Holy Spirit, I need to have a gift for Dave today. So it's, but when I was given the idea to give it to you, I was like, oh, this is perfect, because Carol's going to love it. It's a date. It's a date night at Bottles and Bottega, where you can drink and paint, so this Renaissance man, I'm going to have fun with that. So the idea is to heal, so how do we heal, and what does it mean to heal? That's a big question. What does it mean to heal? So when I was back in Los Angeles, I did this show, and I did this show from a very unhealed place. I did this show called Booby Trap, the very best show in town, to raise money for breast cancer. And I did it for my mom because when I was little, I was in a play while she was dying, and she couldn't get out of bed to see the play. So she told me to come home and give her a show. And I didn't. I was too embarrassed. I was like, none of the kids are going home in their costumes. I'm not going home in my costume. Like, there's no way I want to be the weirdo. And I just didn't know how to deal with it. So instead of doing, fulfilling her request, I went out with the rest of the kids for ice cream. And I carried that guilt. So the guilt is the unhealed place within us. So we go out to California, and I realized that I still have this guilt on me, and that it's based on being, being a woman, part of it. And so I created this show because my mom died of breast cancer. It was about being a woman. So I created this show called Booby Trap, and we do this show, but I do it from an unhealed place. I do it for like, I'm a guilty girl, I gotta make this up for my mom. So the show in the audience was great. It was like standing ovation, the content was beautiful, the purpose was wonderful. It served so many people. We did it just to raise money to support people who were struggling with breast cancer. But backstage, it was getting a shitstorm. I mean, it was like I invited 13 women to talk about their boobs. I mean, it was like the worst reality show. Like, you know, like diva on diva on diva. And I was the ringmaster, you know? So I just had to take ownership of that. And so this was an unhealed place, so of course it was going to be fractured. So I'm doing this show, and I'm like, why isn't she showing up the way I think she should? Why isn't she showing up the way, and I'm doing, and this is so important. And I end up, the form will follow consciousness, and it will demonstrate to you like what's not working. So I ended up getting into a car accident during that time, and I had to go rent a car, and I still wasn't done with my lessons, so I got into a car accident with the rental car. And God was like, you get it? Hello? Anybody home? So I got the message, and but not completely. So I actually didn't completely get it. The show closed, and when it closed, my relationships were a shamble. And especially with one of my very good friends who helped to produce it. We were not even friends. And at the same time, I was studying to be a practitioner. So and as a practitioner, my role was to go and help people heal their fractured relationships. Like I was like a fraud. I was a total fraud. So I said to the Holy Spirit, how am I supposed to navigate doing what I really want to do? I really do want to be a good practitioner, while I also have all this, crazy behind me. And sometimes when I say I go to the Holy Spirit, people go, what are you talking about? Like, do you have a direct line to God? Like, when you hear God, like, what does God sound like? God sounds clear, kind, and direct. That's what God sounds like to me. And not only do I have a direct line to God, but so do you. And as you tap into it, it gets clearer and clearer. So I go to the Divine, and the Divine says to me, I say, I want to be a good practitioner. And the Divine says, okay, so go to your friend and tell her you will do whatever she wants you to do. And I was like, I'm not doing that. She said, go there, go to your friend and say you will do anything that she asks you to do in honor of healing your relationship so that you can be a good practitioner. I said, I'm not doing that. I just want you to know. Like, I don't have the humility for it. I don't have the generosity for it. I do not want to be the bigger person. That's not going to happen. I was like, give me something else. And the Holy Spirit was like, no, that is the answer. Go to her and say you will do whatever she asks you to do in the name of healing your relationship. It was super clear. It was super gentle. It was super kind. And there was no other option. So I said, okay. I said, I don't want to do that. And he said, but you want to be a good practitioner. And I said, yeah. And I said, well, you can either be a good practitioner or a bad friend. Which one do you want to be? So I said, okay. I'm going to be a bad friend for a little while longer. Until I got my strength up to say, you know what, this is too painful. I really do want to heal this. I really do want to be a good practitioner. So I went to my friend and I said, what do you want to do in the name of our relationship? I'm willing, and she said, okay, I want to do the show again. I was like, no, not that. Because all I knew from the show was that it took me down, So I said, okay, Holy Spirit, this is what she wants, so I got to do it differently. I got to let go of control. I got to allow other people to show up the way that they want to show up. I got to allow myself to have fun. I got to stop coming from a guilty place. I got to come from a holy place. So we approached the show again, but this time I did it completely differently. I had somebody helping with directing. I came out to see it. They said, hey, can we do the show at Elmhurst College? You guys mostly know the story, so we came here, and that's how I got here to Elmhurst, was through doing that show. Yeah, it was kind of interesting, right? And so that fractured state, brought me to this place. So when I was in that fractured state and I wanted to be a practitioner, what I knew, even though I wasn't studying A Course in Miracles yet, was you can't give what you don't have. You can't give what you don't have. So you have to come from if you give what you don't have, you become an unhealed healer. That's not who you want to be. You want to be a healed healer. And so, let me just see where I'm at. So not too long after that, I got invited to do a motivational speech. Again, I didn't know how to do that. I didn't think it was for me. I was like, God, that's not for me. I don't know how to do that. But God was like, no, now that you've cleared up these things, now I'm going to show you the next step. It's not going to look like what you thought it's going to look like. It's going to be completely different. Then it was like, now you're going to start this spiritual community. I'm like, God, I don't know how to do that. I've never done that before. I don't have the tools for it. You got the wrong person. I like to curse and wear tube tops. Like, you don't know what you're doing, And God was like, well, just, show up and let me lead you, right? So I just followed. And it turned out I did not know my best interest. I didn't know that. I thought I knew my best interest was this other small thing or this different thing, and God's like, no, your best interest is this other thing, and you just have to allow me to lead you. So, because what I came to find, that it's actually such a great honor to help reconnect people with their understanding of God. Like, what would be more worthy of my hours? Like, I was thinking all this other stuff that I was supposed to do, but really, what I get to do today is really the thing that lights me up. So, we like to say, like, I will go where you send me. And maybe that's something that you want to practice in this month of August. Like, I will stop wrestling with you, God. If you tell me to go to my friend, I'll go where you send me. If you tell me to put up a spiritual community, I'll just go where you send me. I don't know my best interests. So I told you the story about the newspaper. This is one of my favorite stories. But I remember seeing one day this old newspaper floating up in the wind. And I sat there looking at this newspaper and seeing this, maybe you've seen it with a garbage bag or a piece of newspaper when it just floats in the air and it starts to twist and curl and you think, well, that's so beautiful. Like, is this dancing just for me? This is a holy moment. I'm experiencing this impromptu, divine dance, and I'm noticing it. I'm present with it. And I like to think about that newspaper, that its first life was to bring broken news to bored people, And it probably thought I didn't know that there was another version of me. And then God took a second breath and lifted it and lifted it and lifted it beyond the perceptions that it knew of itself. And suddenly it was a dancer. And suddenly it was performing a meditative dance for an audience of one or maybe many. Maybe it's that same piece of garbage that we all see floating in the wind. It's like, I'm going to go over here. Wouldn't that be funny to do a story about this piece of garbage? So this is the same with you. We think God has one breath. God has many breaths. There are still so many breaths that God has to breathe through you, so many incarnations, and we get to breathe in God and then let it go. And we get to breathe in God and then let it go. Most of us are breathing in God and then holding our breath. This is as good as it gets. Don't let go of everything. You can stay. So the letting go and being in the flow of God, it is an art form, that we get to practice and be gentle with ourselves as we practice it. So God is always ready to take a second breath with us. God prepares us with these teachings and with these classrooms, and God's direction, though it may seem crazy and it may seem backwards, we're asked to follow it without fear, but with trust and complete abandonment. Like that paper, it just was like, have me, your way with me. So, yeah. In the past 2 weeks, we've talked about God being, in the car with us. And so the first one was about God, being patient with God. If God is still in the house putting on her lipstick, don't be honking the horn saying, God, come on, we gotta go. God knows the perfect timing, so don't be running off without her. Conversely, if God is in the driver's seat honking for you, don't drag your feet. Get to the car, get in the car. Don't say, I'm not ready, I'm not willing, I don't want to go there, I know where you're going to take me, I don't want to go there. Don't kvetch, don't complain. If you can, if you notice that you're doing that, like take a breath. Because you know what, if you don't get in the car gently, she will drag you. That's just how it goes, that's cause and effect. Knock, knock. Come on, this is for you, I'm ready, I got the whole thing set. And if you don't show up, she's going to knock, 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 knock harder. And pretty soon you're going to be having car accidents and you're going to be saying, okay, I think I need to readjust my thinking here on this. I need a healing here because I'm not paying attention to the gentle plan of God. God always has a gentle plan. Then the third thing is don't worry about being prepared for that moment. You could stay outside the car of God and say like, you got the wrong person, like keep moving, it must be the lady down the block. She's a good old church lady. Don't think that you're not prepared for the things that you're brought to. You have no idea where God intends for you to be. And that's what makes it interesting. That's what makes it really interesting. And if you don't know where you're going, don't pack a bag. You know, if you think you know where you're going, you're going to pack for Florida, and God's going to take you to Canada. And that bag's going to be useless. Okay, one time when I was a teenager, after my dad died, I had this best friend, Clara McNulty, in New York City. I went to see her. She was a big wreck of a mess. And she was just a mess. You know, her parents went through a divorce, and she was really struggling. And she said to me, I want to run away to Florida. And I was like, oh, that doesn't sound like a good idea. By the end of the night, she convinced me that we were going to run away to Florida. We got in a car and hitchhiked. We ended up in upstate New York. The police got us. We were in a car with this guy who wasn't a good guy, and or he was what he was. And my dad had to come pick us up. And that Christmas, my family got me a sweatshirt that said, Florida bound, point me south. Which was nice because I felt so much shame around going with my friend, and I was so stupid, and how did I get in the car? I'm not going to do this. And it was like, you know, my family just taught me, like, it's okay. You know, we all get turned around sometimes. So besides knowing God prepares you, God has already prepared you for the way that you're supposed to go. You already have everything that you need to go and do exactly what you're called to do in love. You have it already. You were prepared. You were preordained for this moment. Once I moved here, I got called upon again to start this community. Before it was called Speakeasy, it was called Sanctuary. And back in the day when we held service at that Trinity Chapel that we're going back to, we would sing the song, Lord, prepare me to be a sanctuary. And it goes, Lord, prepare me to be a sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true, with thanksgiving, I'll be a living sanctuary for you. So we're going to sing that together. But that's it. You know, that's the idea. So let that idea vibrate in your being. Lord, prepare me so that I can be of service to the script of love. You know, please help me when I get nervous and scared. Please help me when I get hung up and strung out and I want to judge my brother. Like, please help me to keep this channel clear, this temple. So we're going to go back to that chapel. But before we go, we have this month. And I want to invite you to spend this month preparing, you know. And I'll tell you something that you won't hear at too many pulpits. You don't need a church. You are the church. You just need a God. You know, and God can come in many forms. I know Carol doesn't want to hear that. She's like, you're not going anyplace. A lot of people get that backwards, right? They go to church like it's some sort of corporation where you can buy your God. You can buy your way into God. And it's nice for us to have, you know, brandings and logos and mission statements, but if we don't put God first, all of that is just, you know, it's not worth anything. You are the church. You are the living sanctuary. To truly accept that, all you need to do is recognize that you already are pure and holy, and you might want to argue with that. You might say, I'm a sinner. I've been told I'm a sinner. I know I'm a sinner, and I act like a sinner. Well, okay, you know. Well, you can argue with that all you want, but God doesn't see it that way. Like, the true God, who is fully in love with you, does not see it that way. God loves you more than your mother loves you. More than your mom loves you. How can God be that great? God loves you more than your mom loves you. And if you don't think so, then you need to get a healing around your God. That's all. You just need to go, God, I was giving you bad PR. I was thinking that I was supposed to be afraid of you. Like, I really need to get more intimate with this idea that you love me. You crave me. You desire me to crawl up on your lap and soothe my worries. You are there. You're my source. You're my substance. You might say, but Maureen, you don't get it. Like, I got this guy in my life who I hate, who I literally hate. How am I supposed to crawl up on God's lap and be all pure and holy when I hate this guy? You know, I'm a cloudy soul, and the sun doesn't shine so bright for me over here. And that's simply your perception, okay? From God's vantage point, He sees only the sun. And you are the sun. You are part of the sonship. You are that brilliant. And it would be great if you allowed yourself to be the person that God sees you as. That would be a radical shift if you could decide to go there and just stop hating and judging your brother and yourself. if we give that up even a slightest bit, we're going to see a major healing. Course in Miracles says, as you see him, your brother, you will see yourself. As you treat him, you will treat yourself. As you think of him, you will think of yourself. Never forget this. There's only a few places in A Course in Miracles where it says, never forget this. It says, you were created good, beautiful, and holy to create the good, the beautiful, and the holy. Never forget this. And then it says it here, your brother is your mirror. Never forget this. And it says further, it says, for as you see him, you will see yourself. We don't want to see that. We don't want to see that. We're like, no, you don't get it. That, I have nothing to do with that. I got nothing to do with that crazy over there. But when we ask God God's name, God said, I am that. I am. So God lives in that. We got to get past the defenses and the judgments and the fears and the condemnations and the illusions so we can step into Holy Communion with God. And when we do and as we do, just like I didn't want to do with my friend. I'm like, no, God, you don't live there. She's mean, she's unkind, you know. But when I got to step through it, I got holy ground. You know, that's where your holy ground lives. It lives on the other side of your defenses. So I'm going to ask you a favor. We're going to go back to the chapel in September. How about we decide to bring our best selves to that day? What if we really took our holiness seriously and clear away the old resentments and stop seeing things as wrong or inadequate? What if we got into the business of seeing ourselves the way that God sees us? And maybe we could attempt to not be afraid of God. God is for us. God is the good guy. God is the good guy. I don't think we can hear that enough. He delights in our happiness. He carries us through dark hours. He goes with you wherever you go, and even when the ride gets bumpy and odd twists and uncomfortable turns, if God is driving the car, not only are you in good hands, but you're set for an amazing adventure. And that's how I'm holding it. And I hope that you join me. And that's the word. Sorry, I was whistling again.
Okay. This is an old song from the 80s. The 1880s. Jericho,